I'm Robert Martin. I'm 65 years old, retired 7 years ago at 58 after a 35-year career in manufacturing. And I can honestly say my life today is better than it's ever been. But not because of the things I've added. It's because of the things I stopped doing. That might sound strange. We spend our whole lives being told to do more, achieve more, add more. But the biggest changes in my retirement, the ones that actually made me happier and more at peace, came from cutting things out. So I want to walk you through 9 things I quit after turning 60 that made my life dramatically better. And fair warning, number 7 might get some pushback. But it's the truth, and I think it's worth sharing. Number 1, I stopped taking my time for granted. This one hit me hard a few years ago. I came across this chart that shows your entire life mapped out in weeks. Little boxes, row after row. And when you're 65, you can see just how many boxes are already filled in. It's sobering. It doesn't scare me, but it makes me very intentional about how I use what's left. Here's the thing most people don't talk about. Your health is on a slow decline as you age. That's just life. But your wealth, if you've been disciplined, tends to go up. The problem is, if you wait too long to enjoy it, your body starts putting limits on what you can actually do with that money. I spent 35 years managing manufacturing plants, solving problems, putting out fires. I loved parts of that career. But there came a point where the stress was taking more than the paycheck was giving. That's when I knew it was time to think seriously about what's next. If work still gives you joy and meaning, by all means keep going. But if the cost is starting to outweigh the reward, pay attention to that. Number 2, I stopped saving unnecessarily. This was a hard habit to break. For 35 years, I was the guy who maxed out his 401k from day one, funneled every raise into investments, and let compound growth do its thing. Saving wasn't just a strategy, it was part of my identity. So when my financial planner told me, "Robert, you've got enough, the numbers work," something in me still resisted. I kept thinking, what if I need just a bit more? What if there's a downturn? What if something unexpected happens? And I know I'm not alone in that. I've talked to plenty of people my age who keep pushing retirement back 6 months at a time, not because they love the work, but because saving more feels safer. The truth is, once you've reached a certain point, the extra money doesn't add meaningful security. It just adds more time at a desk. My wife Linda finally said to me one day, "You spent 35 years saving. At some point, you have to actually live." And she was right. If you've got a solid plan, run the numbers one more time. And if they work, give yourself permission to enjoy what you've built. Number 3, I stopped compromising my health. In my last few years of work, I was running operations across multiple facilities. The phone never stopped. I was eating badly, sleeping worse, and exercise was something I kept saying I'd get back to on Monday. My body was telling me something, but I was too stubborn to listen. It was actually Linda who said it out loud first. She told me, "This job is hurting you. I can see it." And she was right. The stress was visible. I wasn't sleeping well. I had put on weight. I had no energy on the weekends. When I finally retired, one of the first things I did was build a routine around the basics. Sleep, movement, eating properly. Nothing fancy, just the foundations. And the difference was night and day. I'm in better shape at 65 than I was at 55. That's not a boast. It's just what happens when you stop pouring your energy into a job and start investing it in yourself. Your health is the one thing money can't buy back once it's gone. Number 4, I stopped worrying so much. I used to watch the news every morning and every evening. Markets, politics, the economy, whatever crisis was happening that week. And I'd feel this low hum of anxiety that just never went away. It colored everything. Then I came across something that stuck with me. Fear is the response to a real and present danger. Anxiety is worry over something imagined that hasn't even happened yet. And there's that old Mark Twain quote, "I've had a lot of worries in my life, most of which never happened." That hit home. I started asking myself, what can I actually control here? I can't control the markets. I can't control inflation or interest rates or what's happening overseas. But I can control my portfolio allocation, my spending, my tax strategy, how much news I consume. I cut way back on the news. I check in once a day, if that. And the difference in my mental state has been enormous. Worrying doesn't take away tomorrow's trouble. It just steals today's peace. I wish I'd understood that earlier. Number 5, I stopped spending time with people who drain me. This is one nobody likes to talk about, but it's real. When I retired, I had more time on my hands, and that meant more time with people. Some of those people were wonderful. Others, honestly, left me feeling worse after every interaction. There was one person in particular, someone Linda and I are close with, who just carried so much negativity. Every conversation was complaints, problems, doom and gloom. And I noticed that after spending time with them, I'd be irritable for the rest of the day. We had to make a choice. We didn't cut them out entirely because they're someone we care about, but we started being more intentional. We'd mentally prepare before visits. We'd steer conversations toward better topics. And in some cases, we were just honest. We said, look, when we only talk about the bad stuff, it takes a toll on us. That's not easy to say, especially with family or close friends. But protecting your energy in retirement is important. You've earned the right to spend your time with people who lift you up. Number 6, I stopped spending money on things that don't matter to me. When I first retired, I went through a phase where I was buying things just because I finally could. New gadgets, stuff for the workshop, things I thought I wanted. And then I'd look around and realize most of it didn't make me any happier. What changed things for me was sitting down and getting clear on what I actually value. Linda and I did a simple exercise where we wrote down the 5 things that matter most to us. Travel was on the list, time with family, good meals with friends, health, and experiences over things. Once we had that clarity, spending decisions got a lot easier. Now, before I spend on something, I ask myself, does this align with what actually matters to me? If the answer is no, I pass. It sounds simple, but it's made a surprising difference. The happiest spending we do is on experiences and relationships, not possessions. Number 7, I stopped over-supporting my adult children. Here's the one that'll get me in trouble, but I'm going to say it because it's important. Linda and I have 2 grown kids. We love them more than anything. And for years, we were always there with financial help whenever they needed it. Car trouble? We'd cover it. Deposit on an apartment? We'd help. And we did it because that's what parents do, right? But at some point, I had to step back and be honest with myself. Our kids have time. They have decades ahead of them to build their careers and their finances. Linda and I don't have that same runway. We're drawing down now, not building up. That doesn't mean we never help, but we stopped being the first solution to every financial problem. And you know what happened? They figured it out. They got resourceful. They grew. It was hard for us at first, especially for Linda. But making sure your own retirement is secure before extending financial support to your adult children isn't responsible. It's responsible. They've got more time and more options than you think. Number 8, I stopped pretending to be someone I'm not. For most of my career, I played a role. The dependable manager. The guy who had all the answers. The steady hand. And a lot of that was genuinely me, but not all of it. I filtered myself constantly. I said what I thought people wanted to hear. I kept opinions to myself to avoid friction. When I retired, I didn't have to do that anymore. And it was like taking off a heavy coat I didn't know I was wearing. I came across something from a book about the biggest regrets people have at the end of their lives. The number 1 regret? I wish I'd had the courage to be true to myself instead of living the life others expected of me. That one stopped me cold. Now I say what I think. I'm honest about what I enjoy and what I don't. I've stopped trying to impress people who don't matter. There's a saying that goes something like this. At 20, you care deeply what everyone thinks. At 40, you stop caring as much. And at 60, you realize nobody was thinking about you in the first place. That's been my experience exactly. Number 9, I stopped living with regret. I've made mistakes, plenty of them. Times I worked too much and missed things with the kids. Decisions I'd handle differently if I could go back. For a while, those regrets weighed on me. But at some point, I made a conscious choice to let them go. Here's something that helped. I came across a chart showing when people tend to feel most satisfied in life. And it turns out for most people, the period from your mid-60s into your 70s is actually the peak. The most contentment, the most peace. That tells me the best years aren't behind me, they're right now. So I've stopped looking backward. I've forgiven myself for the things I got wrong, and I'm focused on making the most of the time I've got left. Because if this stretch of life really is the sweet spot, I don't want to waste it replaying old mistakes. Those are the 9 things. Not things I started doing, things I stopped. And every single one of them has made my life better.